Gregg, Maya, and Betty are not experts, nor do they claim to be. They're just a bunch of nerds who enjoy talking about movies, shows, and current events. So sit back, grab a coffee, relax, and enjoy a brand new episode of All Queued Up.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of All Queued Up, your review podcast of streaming sites like Amazon Prime, Netflix, Disney Plus, etc., etc., etc. I'm your host, Greg Dietz. With me always is Maya Don Fisher and Betty Badger. How are you two doing?
I'm okay, I guess. Life's rolling. How about you, Maya?
I currently feel terrible, but aside from that, everything's good. I just have had a very, very rough morning.
I'm sorry.
Similar to Greg's morning and all day yesterday, my morning's pretty much the same.
Oh, we shall make this quick then.
Yeah, I was like, yesterday morning I couldn't even, I had a terrible headache after our Wednesday night gaming. I tried to lay down and go to sleep, but the pain was so bad it just kept me up. And then by the time I did fall asleep, I was back up at like 5 a.m, and then consistently every 30 to 45 minutes was up because the pain was so bad.
So sorry.
Yeah, it was like all over my head. Like my mom was like, "Where is it primarily located?" I'm like, "Here, this region of my body." But hey, we're here to talk about Marvel Zombies today, guys. That's the level of discussion. Nothing else. So it's gonna be a little short episode. But yeah, so episode 5 of What If, Marvel's What If, literally titled What If ... Zombies, which fucking cracks me up, was our zombie episode that we were teased with the picture of like a few of the zombified characters. This episode, or this story for this What If, is quite significantly different than the original Marvel Zombies comic. I know that they came out with a new one in 2018 and then in 2019, and apparently those are better. But I've had a few people say this episode really was really
Stunk.
rough. I don't know if stunk was the word, but they were like, it was rough to get through because they had trouble like watching their favorite characters get turned into zombies or die or whatever. And I was like, then the fucking comic would break you. Because it's way harsher. But what did you guys think of it?
I didn't like it.
I didn't care for it at all.
Interesting.
And not because of the characters being turned into zombies. I'm just sick of fucking zombies. And it was too quickly paced. The voice acting was much better, for people who struggled with voice acting before.
Yeah, Bucky was much better this time.
Much better. I think the reason that Sebastian Stan was so much better here was he had just got done playing this version of Bucky. Whereas he hadn't played the other version in fucking damn near 10 years. So I think that might have been why, but yeah, I agree. He was way better this round. I didn't dislike it as much as you guys did. Because I really enjoy silly zombie stories, which is what they were definitely going for here. I like
it didn't feel silly.
No.
At all. I'm just going to say, and I watched Z Nation. I freaking love Z Nation. That was a really silly zombie story. And it was brilliant. This was not silly. This was sad.
Well, that's I think the problem that I do take with this, Betty, is that the beginning of it felt silly, especially with Spider-Man's video and how he was presenting it. And then it started to get more and more depressing. I think I
didn't mean it was depressing. I just meant that it was sad because there was an attempt. Yeah, and it fell really flat. I didn't enjoy it all. I
Interesting.
just the whole. You said it was done by the same guy who did The Walking Dead,
Not this
right?
episode. The
Not
original
this
comics.
episode,
No,
but
no.
the original premise. And I've always had a bit of a problem with his zombies as well because again, what is this magical ability that they have to sneak up on motherfucking people in the middle of a goddamn woods in fall with leaves everywhere? How do you sneak up on a human?
I mean,
How?
in that argument, I mean, I could go with the same of like
You're
that's.
talking about people that take fucking dewormer to cure a virus.
I was gonna
Fuck
say.
them.
I was
They
gonna say.
deserve to get eaten.
All right. I was gonna say if you want to go all the way back, Romero, created that like I'm not paying attention to my surroundings and it's now bit me in the neck. Because that's all Kirkman was biting off of when he was writing The Walking Dead was all of Romero's movies. That being said, I don't know. I'm with you guys on that this episode wasn't the best and that it's lower tier in Marvel on the what if so, but I didn't dislike it as much as you guys did. I really didn't.
Look, coming off their best episode so far, this was the worst episode so far.
I don't agree with you there.
I think it was the
You
worst
think there
so
was
far.
one? You think there was a worse episode than this?
Well, there's another thing into this also, Maya, is that we haven't agreed on every episode to begin with, like the T'Challa episode. I think that's still my favorite episode of the season so far.
Got you.
Yeah, so I think they're least. I wouldn't say worst episode. It's hard to say worst because I think every episode.
Well, your
has
least favorite.
My least favorite is Captain Carter. For the voice acting and the fact that like most of the episode is somewhat forgettable, except for the parts of Peggy kicking everyone's ass and committing war crimes before they were war crimes. But which I love that joke. It's like it's not a war crime. If it's the first time. Whereas this episode, I just thought was kind of neat. I think that something that Andy and I were talking about was with What If comics. Sometimes the writers have to kind of create the world's biggest stretch to create the story.
Yeah,
and this was definitely one of them. The whole like quantum virus and shit like that was like, did you pull a muscle stretching that hard for that part? Because good Lord, goodness gracious. So. But there were a lot of things in this episode I thought were really funny. Like, I really thought it was funny that Captain got turned into a zombie by Ant-Man being small.
Yeah,
Fucking
that was like,
hilarious.
I was watching that. I was like, what the fuck? And that didn't happen. No.
I mean, it's
And
very silly.
again, I
I'll
don't
give you
think
that.
it's not.
It's silly because it's B movie level. That's what I mean by that. Like the logic in it doesn't make sense. That's what I mean by silly. Sorry. I just
Well,
want to
and
clarify that.
that's the thing.
you also.
Go ahead.
In the silliness aspect, you also had the disembodied head of Scott Lang in a
Yep.
jar. That was awful.
I disagree. I thought that was funny.
I
really
think
enjoyed
that was, I think what you've talked about so far, the silly moments are probably the best moments out of this episode because what we were talking about earlier, you really have to suspend disbelief for these zombies. Why? I mean, I can understand if your superpowers mean that you have some sort of weird thing going on to where you can still use your superpowers as a zombie and you're not just all brains. But, Tony Stark didn't have superpowers. He's just really smart. Does that mean everybody from Mensa could still do what they did before and still brains? So I was,
I think that's
the
why
stretching was. It was really thin, stretching it really thin for me this episode, and I just
That's why I said like that like I legitimately question if they pull the muscle stretching as hard as they did for the plot. Because in the comic, the way that it works is that they retain their intelligence, but they have that insatiable hunger that they have to fight against sometimes. And there's a really, really, really dark moment in the comic where Peter is infected, and he goes to his house and he tells Mary Jane to get away from him. And he's trying to fight the urge to eat her, and he can't fight it, and he ends up eating her. And he's like sobbing uncontrollably while eating her because he has the conscience to know what he's doing, but he can't stop himself. And then he tells Aunt May to get into the bathroom and to lock the door, to which it doesn't fucking matter because he kicks down the door and eats Aunt May anyway.
Spider-Man. So how do you control these urges in the comic?
So the way that Hank Pym does it is he kidnaps T'Challa, and he's just getting parts off T'Challa to satiate his hunger so he can keep a clear head. That's it. That's the only way they do that. And it's dark.
So kind of like iZombie, where she worked in the morgue and would eat the brains of the people that came in, and that's how she kind of remained human.
Yeah, kind of.
Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, again, it's like, I could understand when Vision was doing that if Wanda was still humanish, but she was not. She was full on, I mean, like Lich Queen, man. It's just, I mean, and I thought that, I mean, really, yeah, he was the comedic relief to the whole thing. God bless his heart.
I could not, for the life of me, figure out who that character was. For the life of, I was like, what movie was he in before this? Like, what character is he from?
Who is he? I just thought he was some dude.
Let me look it up because I know that I saw it earlier today or yesterday when I was looking up information about the episode. Let's see, what if? Nope, that's what 8 is what I typed there. What if? Also, T'Challa had a really great line at the end of this episode that I know is people are gonna latch onto real hard. Talking about death, and he was like, "In my nation, death, da 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 da." I
don't remember the da 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 da.
I'm still looking it up. I'm trying to. So the voice actor was the same guy who played Polka Dot Man in the Suicide Squad movie.
Oh.
And I'm trying to find.
I would have never guessed.
Yeah. Somebody pointed out that he was like he's from Ant-Man and the Wasp, or just Ant-Man. He's one of the guys that is friends with Scott.
I haven't seen Ant-Man.
Oh, I think Ant-Man and the Wasp are, like, Ant-Man and the Wasp I think is better than Ant-Man. Some people disagree with me, but I like both movies a lot. But I'm also I love superhero stuff in general. So yeah, I don't know. Like I thought that they tried to bring the level of comedy to this that was also in Zombieland, which I really enjoy Zombieland because it's just a silly comedy zombie movie. I get why that wouldn't land with everybody, like you, Maya, how you're not a big fan of take this heavy thing and add comedy to it. It doesn't mix for you. It's like oil and water.
Well, not always. I mean, I enjoyed Zombieland when it first came out, but I did watch the second one recently, and I thought it was horrible.
If you haven't seen Z Nation, y'all need to see Z Nation. That's
the other problem, Betty. I have to put aside, like, this is probably the first legit zombie thing I've watched in God knows how long, because the market became so oversaturated with zombie stuff around the time that The Walking Dead premiered that I just lost interest in zombie stuff for the longest fucking time. And unfortunately, I still kind of have that. Like, I'm not interested in Zombieland 2 because of that same thing, even though I know I'd probably enjoy it maybe.
Z Nation it's it's funny. It's one of the funniest zombie things ever. It's like, they do not take themselves seriously at all. There's all kinds of crazy shit going on. The characters provide lots of comedic relief, but there's still lots of action too. Some heartstring tugging. I mean, it was a brilliant little show. Freaking loved it. So much better than The Walking Dead.
I really enjoyed Santa Clarita Diet.
Oh yeah, that was a good
Yeah.
one too,
Yeah,
man.
I like that one too. Yeah, that was a good one. That's probably
It sucks that
legitimately
that sucks that they canceled it right after we reviewed the third season.
Yeah.
We're like, oh yeah, we can't wait for season 4, and then later that day, literally after we recorded, it's canceled.
Yeah. What the fuck? Such a good show.
Yeah. That's Netflix for you. Fucking. Did it bring in any new people? Nope. Cancel it. Even though fucking the same amount of people watched it. Whatever.
But with this, again, the whole, I get if well, like you were talking about the superheroes who've been infected in the comic. What about regular humans? Could they eat brains and stave off the horrible zombie effects, or was this just something that people with superpowers had the ability to do?
So in the comic, I believe it's established pretty early on that not many humans survived because the zombie heroes were just eating everybody. I think they even went to the extent of mentioning how like there were almost no humans left on Earth for them to eat. So they had to start resorting to eating other zombies, and they hated the taste of it. Because eventually the end of the comic is after eating the Silver Surfer and gaining the cosmic power, they end up eating Galactus and gaining his power.
Oh,
and
so
then
they gain powers from eating people too.
Just those two. Just those super specific. And they don't gain their powers exactly, but they gain the power cosmic, which is a whole another can of worms that we might see in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. We haven't yet, but we might. But then they become the new Galactus, and instead of going to worlds and eating the planet or eating the sustenance from the planet like Galactus does, the Marvel zombies were just eating any living flesh on a planet. But that is strictly the very, very first Marvel Zombies comic. I looked into it after this episode. There are at least 30 other comics that have the Marvel Zombies title, and then they completely rebooted it back in 2018.
I mean, that doesn't sound like a bad premise. But again, maybe there just wasn't enough explanation in this one for me. Even though we did have the video bits and we got to see, how everybody got zombified. Thank you, Ant-Man. I don't know. The whole thing with Vision and Wanda really threw me for a loop because that's just highly illogical in my mind. And I was like, he wouldn't do that. He wouldn't do that.
Yeah, like I said, this whole episode was a big stretch. A big old stretch. So like you having trouble with that, I totally get. And I think a lot of for me this episode was very B-movie-esque. Very B-movie-esque. Like I don't know if that makes sense, but I don't know. I agree with you, Betty. It doesn't make sense. None of it made, like, a lot of it didn't make sense. It was illogical. I totally fucking agree with you there. But I don't know.
And Maya's just done with zombies, so I
mean,
don't blame you.
For the most part, I'm over zombies.
Yeah, I really haven't even caught up on the Walking Dead series, and Deke's watching it, and I'm actually the one who got him started on that, and now he's watching it, and I gave up on it, and he's like, oh, it's out, and I'm like, I don't care.
It's the same with me and Misty. I watched the first season, and I was like, you've got to watch this show. She started watching it, and she didn't want to at first because she's not a big fan of horror stuff or gross things. But she ended up loving it. Midway through season, was it 7 that they introduced Negan?
Oh God, I forget at this
Whatever the
point.
season they introduced Negan, his introduction was fucking perfect. And after about 3 or 4 episodes into that season, I started losing interest because they started doing things that I didn't care for. Just the overall flow of the show. And I was like, eh. And then they killed Carl. And I said, fuck this show. I'm never watching it again. And I've not watched it again. Misty still
Well,
watches it. She watches it. We DVR it on Sunday nights, and she watches it on Tuesdays while we're playing D&D, so I don't have to put up with the bullshit.
you gotta give the whole Carl thing a break though. Kid wanted to go to college, and his contract was up, and it was time for him to. They had to let him go. He wanted to go to college. He had to die. It's not like you could send Carl off to boarding school somewhere. It's a zombie apocalypse.
He just
He
bought
had
a
to
house
die.
down there. He could have gone to school and worked too.
Maybe
That-
he
Just out
didn't
of
want to do
curiosity, which-
zombies anymore.
I get the actor wanting to go to college, but for fuck's sake, it's the same thing that like, maybe it's because I'm fucking poor, but if you have this like money making thing in your life that is literally making you money, you can go to college after the show's over. The hell?
Yeah. Well, he was
But-
actually going to do both. Scott Gimple's the one that wrote him out of the show and pretty much fired him from the show.
Jesus.
And the kid that played him was not cool with that.
Gotcha. That makes sense.
I've just seen a lot of young actors, once they hit that age, and I don't blame them. They want to have that college experience. They want to be young. They want to be, teenagers, young adults, and just do that for a minute, especially when you've been on a show for 10 seasons. It gets heavy. A lot of actors have done that, and then they've come back to acting later. But and some of them don't. Some of them get degrees and go on to do things with them. Good for them.
I understand that, the artists tire of whatever they're doing. I mean, there's a reason that a lot of the early actors for the roles in Marvel shows didn't want to come back. Namely, like Chris Hemsworth. I always think about that. He did not want to continue playing Thor after Dark World. He was done. And Marvel was just like, give us one more movie. Because it's in your contract. But give us one more movie. And then thankfully Taika put the desire back in his heart. But I get it. I do get that, like wanting to kind of back off and try something else or something to that effect. But it's like, from my perspective, you can still do stuff in between those things too.
Mm-hmm.
Like I don't. For example, this is gonna sound awfully weird, but Kristen Stewart, she has a game show with Dex on Wednesday nights called Family Game Fight, which I actually like watching with my parents.
Who?
And not Kristen Stewart.
Kristen Bell.
Kristen Bell, thank you. And I was just kind of like, oh, this is a fun little show that they get to play and whatever. It's if you like game shows, I guess I recommend it, but whatever. My parents like it and I don't mind it, so it's a nice little thing to watch with them. Whatever. Back off. Anyway, the point is I was getting at was I was like, oh, what the fuck has Kristen Bell done lately other than Frozen 2? And then I got a trailer for what's that? Oh yeah, The Good Place. But then I got a trailer for something that a movie that she's doing here soon, where it's based off a true story of a couple of women that start using like coupons or some shit. They're like the coupon queens, and they it looks like a very fun movie, but they don't know that they're breaking laws and end up having to go to court, and I don't know, it looks interesting. But yeah, she did that movie, and on top of doing the game show and whatever else. And it's like, I see actors do this all the fucking time where they do multiple things in a year. And it's always funny to me that, like, I think it was Johnny Depp said that when he was getting really fed up and kind of bored of playing
Jack Sparrow.
Sparrow. Jeez. Harkness is what came to mind, Maya. So that's fun inside my brain when that happens. When he when he was playing Jack Sparrow a lot and he was kind of getting fed up with it, he was like, I'm gonna go do like some fucking indie movie. And he did another movie outside that he was just like, yeah, it kind of reinvigorated my desire to act. I get it. I get when an artist gets bored. Trust me, I've kind of been there. I get it. But on the other hand, like, you're getting paid millions of dollars right now. That's something that so many people would love to have and obtain. And for you to just be like, I'm kind of done with that, it feels like a slap in the face. That's why, like, right now, I could give two shits about whatever happens to Scarlett Johansson.
Oh, especially after hearing, see, originally I was siding with her. Now I'm just like, nah, fuck her.
Yeah.
Because the way she was saying the contract was structured, she was supposed to get all of her earnings from theatrical release exclusively. But no, she got a base salary of $20 million plus royalties from the theatrical release. Well, she lost out on that because they did same day streaming. Well, she went and asked for $100 million.
Yeah.
Because she said, oh, this movie would have made $1.2 billion based on the last Marvel movie that made, $1.2 billion. So therefore, this theoretically would have. So I should get another $80 million in royalties. No, fuck you, you greedy fucking bitch.
Yeah.
That's
yeah.
I'm over it. I'm like, I get getting what you've earned. I understand wanting to be compensated for your work. But let's be fair. These are arbitrary values that are placed upon, that are agreed upon by studio and agent and worker. But they're ridiculous.
Yeah. Absolutely.
It's absolutely ridiculous. She's already getting paid more money than I'll ever see in my lifetime as her base salary, and yet she wants 5 times that much because it didn't get a theatrical run. No.
During a pandemic, that's the thing that pisses me off the most. If this lawsuit happened and it was the argument about like women not getting paid as much as men, and I'd be like, yeah, I'm on your side. Like, women do not get paid as much as men in the movie industry, and it's fucking bullshit. As of right now, she's arguing this over fucking millions of dollars during a pandemic for a theatrical release. Go absolutely fuck yourself. Like,
okay, yeah. I get that. But when it comes to actors who are getting paid millions and they decide to walk away from it, that's their choice. They're allowed to make that choice. And if, somebody wants to walk away from acting and go be a bum on the beach for the rest of their lives because they already have millions, they're allowed to do that.
Oh, yeah. I don't have a problem with that.
And it's like if somebody stops acting like the Olsen twins and decides to go to college, I understand completely. Even if you want to get back into acting later, trying to do college and acting at the same time would not be easy. It would not be something that you could easily accomplish, especially if you're attending a school that is in a different state from where you're filming. The way they, you've worked in filming and the hours that they do and stuff. And sometimes you can be on set at 5 a.m. You have to be on stage and you're in makeup for 3-4 hours beforehand, something like that. That's a lot of time and tiredness. And
I want to put this out there just because I can. Being on a film set, I can say this confidently. Actors have the easiest time on set.
Oh, I'm sure to a degree on set, but it takes up time. And school, if you want to devote your time to school, absolutely devote your time to school. I mean, if you have the ability to do that and you've already made millions and millions of dollars, absolutely devote your time to school and just put all your effort in that and get your degree and do what you want to do. I don't think anybody owes us, because we enjoy their character on a show or in a movie series or anything like that. I don't feel like any of these people owe me shit. It's just
I agree with you. I think that you're absolutely correct in that. Like, nobody owes anybody shit, and I definitely don't think that any of these actors should stick around if their contract's up if they don't want to. That being said, it goes into this thing of like what Kevin Feige said. They're going to be trying to hire actors to play these characters who want to play the roles, not who are contracted to play the roles because they look exactly like whatever. I think that's the big difference there for me is like I said, when Chris Hemsworth, I always go back to that because it's interesting. He wanted to quit because Thor 2 did not do well. That was his whole thing. He just didn't feel like it was worth it, yada yada, whatever. And it always takes a good filmmaker to get you out of that funk. And the kid who plays Carl, I totally understand him going, I want to go to college, and that's going to interfere with the acting. Totally get that. If that was the case.
But that wasn't the case though. He still wanted to go, but he was going to do the show too. He had just bought a house in Georgia and was going to school in Georgia.
I hadn't seen that when it happened. I read an article where he was saying that this was his choice. He's the one who wanted to walk away. He wanted to focus on college. Maybe he was just saying that before all this shit came out. I don't know, but that's what I read at the time. So I was like, y'all need to back off this kid. Leave him alone.
No,
I mean, a lot of people.
It was all Scott Gimple.
I think on that inverse, like you said, Betty, like nobody owes anybody shit. So if an actor does make a choice, fans need to lay the fuck off.
Mm-hmm.
One of the things that always sticks up in my mind about fans being pieces of shit when it comes to anything is, everyone goes, oh, the Phantom Menace is really bad right now. The Fandom Menace. Jesus Christ, Greg, your brain. The Fandom Menace is really bad right now because of the internet, yada, yada, yada. And I go, really? Because I do remember 2 actors from the Phantom Menace who were going to kill themselves because of the fans. And this was back before the internet was as big of a thing as it is now. Like, Jake Lloyd will never go back in acting because of the fans. And the guy who played, I cannot remember his name for the life of me, the guy who played Jar Jar Binks.
Oh, yeah.
He contemplated suicide multiple fucking times. I think he even attempted once.
It's like, sometimes I wonder if one of the reasons why Fairuza Balk dropped out of acting is because, people had to give her hell about the craft. I caught hell because I looked like her. I'm like, what the fuck?
That's funny because I actually liked that movie. I didn't know that there was such hatred towards it, but
in Christian communities, yes, indeed.
Yeah.
Yes, indeed. But when I was in high school, I got a lot of, you look like that crazy chick from The Craft. Yeah, her fucking name was Nancy. Okay, yeah. But not some more chippy.
But yeah, I think it doesn't make sense to me that if you're already making millions and you're down to continue playing that role, that you would go to the extent of just being like, I want more for this thing that, I was already getting paid insane amounts of money for to begin with. That's, I think, something that bothers the shit out of me. That's why I don't care about what's her ass anymore. Like, I think that's another problem is that, on a side note, regardless of how I feel, Scarlett Johansson, she's going to be coming into a lot of pushback because of this lawsuit. Studios aren't going to want to hire her. Fans aren't going to want to go see her because of this exact thing. Like, somebody said this might be career suicide for her.
Yeah. I mean, she has to know this as well.
Yeah. I think the internet also is very forgetful about things too. So we'll see. Anyway, we should wrap this episode up. So let's bring it back to Marvel Zombies. Let's go ahead and give our final thoughts and a grade on the episode itself. Myra, why don't you go ahead and start us off on that?
Yeah. Just give it a D plus. It tried. It looked great. The voice acting was better, but the story structure was not great. The pacing was too quick, I thought. But yeah, it was very unforgettable for me. I didn't care. I had no investment. Not like the week prior where I was really invested in it. But yeah,
Fair.
that's all I got for it. What about you, Betty?
Well, like you said, that the animation again, brilliant. Love it. Voice acting, much better this time around. The story could use some improvement. I don't know. It was stretched very, very thin for me, and I just was not entertained as much as I usually am. There were some entertaining parts. The polka dot man guy, he was definitely the comedic entertainment. I guess I would give it a C. I mean, overall, I I was not impressed, particularly not like last week. I definitely enjoyed the first episode way more than this episode. So, but yeah, so C. What about you, Greg?
B minus. I agree with you on the most part about it. The story being stretched thin. Again, the joke I made is, did anyone pull a muscle writing this story? But what I really enjoyed about it was the comedic take on the whole Marvel Zombies idea. Also, fucking love the design on the zombified heroes. I thought that was really cool looking. But I did enjoy that it was a bit more lighthearted than like the comic. And again, I haven't read the new comic, even though I know it's a full on reboot. But I just thought it was just a fun little romp. I think that another thing for me about this What If show is that, and much like the comics, they don't matter.
Exactly.
So, knowing that this is the only Marvel Zombies thing we might get out of What If, and down the road we might get an episode 2. I doubt it though. Who cares?
I hope not.
I just, it's kind of like was like that was neat. Anyway, episode 6. What's that gonna be? That's kind of my
Yeah.
attitude towards it. But I enjoyed it. I mean, not as much as like episode 4 or episode 2. I still don't think episode 1 is as good as this one. Episode 1 is probably on the bottom again, but I don't know. Yeah, that's a B minus. I don't know what to go with that. It's like you said, the voice acting was miles better than some other episodes, but I don't know. Yeah, let's shrug shoulders. All right, everybody. That's gonna do it for us this week. It's like I said, it's a shorter episode because some of us aren't feeling good. Some of us have to get to work. Yada yada yada. But next week we're gonna be reviewing episode 6 of What If, which I have no idea what it was. I thought this week was supposed to be the Party Thor episode, but clearly whoever listed the episodes online had it way wrong. Again, though, not that it fucking matters, because What If is not meant to be
Yeah, it's a new story.
yeah. It's an anthology of ideas. Some don't land as well as others, but that's the beauty of What If. But yeah, we're also going to review the Netflix movie Kate, which stars Mary Elizabeth Winstead, who I kept fucking up her name before we recorded. But that movie looks like a lot of fun. Again, as I've been told it is, it's Mary just being a badass for an hour and a half or however long the movie is. Kind of like her John Wick, if you will. So I'm very much looking forward to that. But yeah, I gotta pull up my notes because I can't remember where I go right after telling everyone what we're gonna watch next week. Make sure you check out all the make sure you check out all the socials below. That's where you can find us interacting with you, or if we're gonna add anything, which I doubt because we already have 2 things on the table, but you know how it works. The other thing I want to bring up before I talk about everything else is go follow my Twitch channel, because that's where we're going to be doing streams of Jackbox coming up soon. As soon as it fucking cools down and I can actually stream in my room in the afternoon without fucking feeling like I'm in a sauna, we'll be doing that until the new one comes out and then playing the new one, which we always love playing Jackbox. It's always a lot of fun. But yeah, that's twitch.tv/ChubRuckGeek. We did create one for All Queued Up, but I had recognized that not too many people were going to that because they already had mine saved. So that's why we're just going back to my channel. Plus, it's easier for me to stream it that way. Anyway, off of that, go check out the Teespring store. Fall's coming up around the corner, and we have stuff in the store for the cooler seasons coming around the corner. I think hoodies are on there, right? Hoodies,
Mm-hmm.
but also beanies.
Both pullover and zip up style. No beanies.
Oh, no beanies. Okay, that's why I wasn't sure if there were beanies, but does Teespring have beanies?
I believe they do, but I'm not 100% sure.
Okay.
I know they have hats, but it's complicated.
Yeah, I gotcha. Well, regardless, yeah, if you're looking for something to have our faces on, that's where you go to check that out. Also, check out the YouTube channel. That's where you'll find the video version of the podcast. And if you go check us out, follow the channel, subscribe to it, hit like on the episode itself. Maybe leave a comment. Helps us out. Helps out the algorithm. You know the drill. Also, I need to fucking record some new reviews. Do the Italian thing. But yeah, that's about it. Maya, where can folks find you?
You can find me on Facebook under my name, Maya Dawn Fisher. It's a public profile, so if you wish to follow me on Twitter or Instagram, those are linked there, and you can do so. Also, as for other shows that I'm on 3 other podcasts on the Realm of Collectors YouTube channel. Every alternating Wednesday, on Figure Banging at 9:30 p.m. Eastern, or on Shelf Gravy at 9 p.m. Eastern. Shelf Gravy's cool. We do.
That's a new one.
Yeah, that's a new one. I've been officially invited on there, and we work on crafting projects like diorama stuff, or painting stuff, or model building stuff, which I've always had a very difficult time carving out a set time for myself to work on things. And as a result, I let things slide sometimes. This kind of keeps me focused and on track and on pace to do things. And it's the same time pretty much that the other show runs. So, 9 p.m., just a half hour earlier start, 9 p.m. Eastern. And then at 9 p.m. Eastern every Friday on Nerd Life Syndicate on the Realm of Collectors YouTube channel as well. So check that out. New episode tonight. That's everywhere I'm at. Other than playing D&D on Tuesdays and maybe Thursdays here pretty soon. Oh, God. Yeah, Betty, where can people find you?
You can find me at Betty Badger Ogletree on Facebook, and you can find me at Bright Betty on Twitter. That's pretty much it.
All right. You can find me on all socials under ChubRuckGeek, and still doing stuff with Anthony. We've been meaning to record an episode here of the podcast, but we have not got around to it. Also currently writing a review for Psychonauts 2, so hopefully in a while that'll come up on the YouTube channel, but I'll address that as soon. Anyway, if you have Game Pass, I highly recommend Psychonauts 2. It's fucking fantastic. And for people that just kind of want the story and don't want a hard challenge, because I get that. I did the same thing. Betty, I'm talking to you. They have an invincibility mode, so you can just get the story and still have fun with like an interactive game. Like genuinely, Betty, I'm not even joking. You have Game Pass. you could download this game and just pop the invincibility on, sit back, get high, and just enjoy the fucking game. Like, I'm not joking. It's so good. It's so fucking good. I keep recommending to everybody to play it on invincibility. It's just a blast. Anyway.
Fortunately, I don't have much time for that stuff anymore because school's starting next week. So
yeah.
And I'm a homeschool mom.
Yeah, I get that. Anyway, yeah. So hopefully I have a review up on the Mission Start Tubes YouTube channel. But we'll see. Anyway, guys. Yeah, like I said, Kate on Netflix, and then episode 6 of What If next week. And yeah, that's about it. See you next time.
Peace, love, and lollipops.
Take care, everybody.